Okay, well, I am thinking about the man in the parking lot that spoke to me about a month ago or so. It was after the change of season had happened, September sometime. But his words were to me were, "I'm ready for fall to fall." And I think he got his wish. I think we've had fall falling here in Alpine. In Southern California, our seasons are mild, compared to many other places in the world, in the United States especially. So I was amazed yesterday at the hail, that I got at my home, and I'm sure you all got that as well. So it is a time for change in the air, and not just in the season. I'm sure that most of you have clued into the presidential race that we've all been watching with attentiveness, and some of us more than others. And many of you probably, as I did, watched the television program last night where they were showing the projected winner of our United States being Joe Biden, and his address that he addressed to the nation and so forth. And the process has not finalized. It's still going through what the available court system is having and so forth. And I think that many of us kind of would like to have it over, but I'll say we want to make sure that we go through the process that this United States is based on, and make sure that everything is done the right way. And I know that is happening right now. I do know that. It was interesting. I was watching one of the commentators. It's supposed to start at a certain time, and of course they were late getting there, and so the commentators, have to yak and tell you something. And this one fellow was going on about how in the primaries, when they were voting and so forth, that Joe Biden was really doing poorly at the very beginning. He was not the forerunner at all. And then he was saying, he was talking about the different states, and I don't remember what they were now. How in this state he just did so poorly, and that state he did so poorly. And he said, and then 3 days later, all of a sudden, he picked up steam, and he won this one, and then he won that one, and it really made a difference. And he said, and so his question was, I want to know what happened in those 3 days. And it struck me as like, oh my gosh, that sounds interesting. I wonder what happened in those 3 days. It reminds me obviously of Jesus in the tomb, and not that I'm saying anything at all that Joe Biden is the Christ, for gosh sakes. But why I'm saying that is because we never know how quickly something can turn, how quickly something can happen in our lives. And so I just think that that's a good demonstration to be aware and look at it. And our topic this morning is, what am I? Because so many times when we, in our egoic minds, I think we look at ourselves and who am I? Who am I anyway? That's the initial question. And the who of me is changeable. The who of me is, the roles that I play, and my personality, my preferences. But the what of me is that eternal essence, that eternal energy that doesn't die, isn't born, it doesn't die, it's eternally with us. It's changeless. And I think most of the time, at least I'm counting myself in this group, most of us don't consciously remember that. Most of us don't consciously say to ourselves, yes, I am spirit. That is the what of what I am. I am love. I am this unending energy. That is what I am. And I'll tell you, my intention is to remember to go within and sit in that stillness, even though I'm around people, even though I'm doing things that I need to be doing, and release the judgment, release the expectations, release the dramas of what can be going on all around me, and sit as the silent witness. Because I honestly believe that God is in charge, that love is in charge, and it knows what it's doing. And when I go within and open myself up to its awareness, then I am more available to allow that awareness, that truth, that substance to flow through me out into my affairs, out through my words and out through my activities, out through my relationships, my associations, to be able and available to let this love that is me, that is all of us, to flow, to let it have its own course. Isn't it a matter of what we focus on? To allow ourselves to remember. Now, this is November, and our theme this month is praise and thanksgiving. And we talk about the fact that what we focus on increases. So how about if we focus on praising, on being grateful, honestly, for the way that our country is set up, and the system that our forefathers gave us, and the balance of power and the separation of power. And knowing that, you know what, I think they did a pretty darn good job of setting up a government. And to let the process work, and to know that God is in charge and all is well. You know, in the past, I have made and handed out gratitude journals for you all. It was, usually we started it 40 days before Thanksgiving. And I didn't do that this year, but I'm asking you to consider generating that for yourself. Allowing yourself to get your gratitude journal out again and use it. And in my thought for the week, I'd like you to practice this statement. I praise and give thanks for the God's image that I am, and I praise and give thanks for God's image in all. Use that, if you will, as an anchor, as a mantra, to remember that all, everyone, nothing is excluded, all is God in action. And I believe that our great master teacher, Jesus the Christ, told us to judge with right judgment. Judging with right judgment means that we don't snap to conclusions, that we allow the flow of the divine energy to have that process that it takes. Sometimes it can be a snap, and sometimes it can take longer. But for us to, again, have the intention to be the silent witness and to not jump to conclusions. It reminds me of the story of the Chinese farmer. And the old Chinese farmer had saved small amounts of money over a year to buy a new horse. And the day that the farmer bought the horse, it ran away. His neighbor expressed grief and told him, I hope you can get over this bad news. Good news or bad news, can't say, replied the farmer. The next day, the horse returned to the farmer's house, and it brought another stray horse with it. Cheer up, we're going to multiply our farm income. That's great news, said the farmer's son. Good news or bad news, can't say, replied the farmer, and he carried on his work. A week later, the farmer took the first horse to his farm, and his son took the second horse to follow his father to work. On the way, the second horse pushed the boy down and ran away. The boy's leg was fractured badly. That evening, back home, the farmer's wife groaned, we will have to spend all of our extra savings on our son's broken leg. What terrible news. Once again, the farmer replied, good news or bad news? Can't say. A month later, the farmer's king announced a war on the neighboring nation. Citing a lack of foot soldiers, the king ordered all able-bodied men in the nation to get drafted into the military without excuses. The farmer's son was spared because of his broken leg. Later, the inexperienced soldiers got slaughtered in the war. "You are lucky that your son did not get drafted. Mine returned with severe injuries. Many have been handicapped or killed," complained the farmer's best friend. Unbanished, the farmer replied, "Good news or bad news? Can't say." And of course, the story goes on and on. Life does not have one singular meaning. We can't answer the big questions of life. You know why? Because we are the answer to life. All of the answers that we ever need are within us. Pablo Picasso said it this way: "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." All of us have gifts, and we feel more fulfilled when we give them away. And recognize that because we are evolving, we are infinite in our nature, that our gifts will change, our gifts will grow, and we'll become more aware of new ones than we had previously in our lives. I've been reading, of course, my different readings I do each morning, and one of them that spoke to me that I want to share with you today, two of them actually, and they're both from Roy Eugene Davis. "When our attention is preoccupied with externals, we may tend to forget our real nature and be excessively involved with superficial or unimportant relationships and circumstances. Learn to be soul-centered and have the freedom of unconfined awareness." Do you feel the big picture there? Do you feel the expansiveness? If we can just go within and feel our soul, feel our center, that is unending, that is breathing us, that is giving us this life, that is wanting us to be more, to express more of itself, capital I. And the second one I wanted to share is, until you are God conscious, tell God about your needs and aspirations. Ask for help when you need it. Ask for courage and wisdom, and for success in your meditation practice. By inviting the presence of God into your awareness, you will rise above ordinary states of consciousness. Your innate spiritual qualities and powers will be unveiled. You will have exceptional powers of perception and extraordinary abilities that can be used to improve your personal circumstances and enable you to more easily awaken to self and God realization. The deeper you go into God, the more peaceful and fulfilled you will be. Realize, in parentheses, experience and know God as God is. You can do it. I'm trusting that we all have that sense of urgency within us to experience, to have the realization of this God presence that is within us. If you don't have it, I offer you to think about it. Because life can be an unending joy. It can be an availability of what's to bringing forth from us and to us and through us is unknown. When we have a grateful heart, when we are praising, when we are thankful for what we have, we know that that improves, that increases, that allows life to reflect back to us and give us more of it. So have yourself this coming week the activity of remembering to go within, to allow this God self to come up and know that everything is well, that all is well. Don't judge on snap appearances. judge with right judgment, have peace and joy and abundant blessings. Namaste.